Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. It's very early in the day, so there's very little light around. But this Ranchostylus gigantea is sort of virtually fully open now. I'm well pleased with the colour on the flowers because they can vary a lot. But the balance between the purple and the creamy background is quite good. Some of them can end up very, very pale, wishy-washy looking. And some of them can end up almost deep purple, so that would have been nice, but I'll put up with that for a first time bloom. It's not a very good spike really, spikes are normally a bit longer than that, but first time blooming, you have what you get. This little Tolumnia's going to be in bloom for a while now because it's branched again, so it's branched off a branch and there's another set of little buds coming there, but it's also got its other spike which looks like it's going to open over the next couple of days, so that'll extend its blooming period. That's my latest Tolumnia actually. That was what I call a throw-in. When I buy a plant on eBay, I always look at the overall cost of the postage, and I know this sounds silly, and it is silly maths at the end of the day, but if you're going to pay £15 for a plant and then pay £10 for postage, and you can get another plant for £10 effectively with free postage, if you add up the total and divide it by 2, that's what I think I've paid for the 2 plants. So I incorporate the postage as part of the cost of the plant, and that sometimes will stop me buying it. I mean, my favourite seller in the Netherlands, the postage on his plants has gone up a ridiculous amount in the last couple of years. It's almost doubled, and I'm not sure the actual postage cost has doubled. I mean, maybe it has in the Netherlands, I don't know, at his end. But I mean, basically, I'm sure it used to be like £7 or £8 a plant and an extra pound for each additional plant, which made the postage incredibly reasonable. Well, I was having a look through a couple of his plants yesterday, and I mean, it's £13.50 now. That's quite a lot, That's getting up to the German standards. Likes of Schwerter, whose postage costs are ridiculous to the UK. Still, that's what it is. And I certainly won't be buying any orchids online, not until the spring now. The night temperatures, the transport temperatures would just be far too low. You're going to chill those plants down quite badly, and if there's any delay in the postage, what comes out the other end might not be that good. Anyway, I wanted to do a quick update on my RO unit. I've got a clip that I filmed yesterday while I was using it. I'll slot that in now, and then we'll pick it up at the other end. Well, I've fitted the new pre-stage filters. It says to flush 3 or 4 gallons through before connecting it up to the membrane. That's probably in case there's any dust or particles in the filters. But that's the pressure that's going in. And after I've replaced these filters, it will be interesting to see what pressure comes out the other end, because if those 2 filters were quite cogged up, then the right pressure wasn't getting into the membrane, which could reduce the flow dramatically. So I'll flush them through, and then we'll connect it all up and see what comes out the good bit. Okay, so having replaced the filters and flushed them through and reconnected everything, the actual flow rate coming out of the membrane was still not that good. So I did a bit of reading, as one does, and found out that my little unit can be upgraded. So when I bought it, it was a 50 gallons a day. It's a very odd measurement, but then I suppose they are designed to be running rather than sitting on my floor not being used for a couple of weeks at a time. And 50 gallons a day in your mind sounds like quite a lot, doesn't it? But when you divide that by 24 and see how much you actually get per hour, it's not a lot. Not a lot at all. But the unit itself, the membranes come in a standard size, and with an extra little gadget I've managed to double its output. So when the new membrane arrives, which I've ordered, it'll be 100 gallons a day, which is twice the rate. That's good. Now, it did mean I had to buy a new flow restrictor, because that's the bit that holds the water back so that the membrane can work, and that needs to be balanced with the membrane. Otherwise the water's either not getting through quick enough or going through too quick. You know, I mean, but that was only a £5, so to get a new membrane would have been £10. To upgrade it to double the capacity was an extra £4. That's not a lot. I did have to pay a £5 for the little gadget on the side, but that's a one-off cost, you know, replacing the membranes. I think might need to be a bit more frequent. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see what the output looks like when the new membrane's fitted with its new little gadget on the side. It will be interesting. And I'm also still interested in the logic going on. You put tap water in with a known TDS reading. That goes in one end. Now that goes through 2 filters before it gets to the membrane. One of those filters is a carbon filter that works in exactly the same principle as my filter jug in the kitchen. Exactly the same principle. Yeah, the sort of activated carbon type filter that removes quite a lot of stuff. And in my kitchen that takes my tap water down from a TDS reading of about 250, 260 down to 150. That's quite a reduction. So if you look at the logic of the RO unit, the water has to pass through one of those filters before it gets to the membrane. Well, you've got a volume of water that goes in, you've extracted pure water, so what's left would logically have a much higher TDS level because you've taken out some good stuff, so the concentration would be higher. But that water's gone through a carbon filter before it comes out the other end. So should it really be a lot higher? I don't know. Anyway, that maths is getting far too much for my little brain. But it will be interesting to see, you know, what the new unit. It's effectively by replacing the membrane and the filters, I've got a new unit. And it will be interesting to see what the output is and what the wastewater measurements are once it's all set up, which won't be for a while now because I've just filled up all my bottles, and at this time of year that's going to take probably 3 weeks before that's gone, if not more. There's the watering rates going right down, and in some cases to next to nothing. Anyway, I've either got a good weekend coming up or a lousy weekend, and it depends totally on my car. My daughter's supposed to be coming down this weekend, but with no car I can't go and get her. And that'll be the 3rd weekend that's happened thanks to this flipping car problem. The guy's supposed to have got the part yesterday and fitted it and phoned me up. Well, I didn't get a phone call, which sounds like bad news to me because he's had the wrong part sent twice this week, which loses a day at a time. Yeah, you know, he orders the part, it arrives the next day and it's wrong, so he's then got to try again and wait for that to arrive. So he lost a lot of time this week with suppliers sending the wrong bit. But when I spoke to him yesterday morning, he said the correct part should arrive during the day, he'll fit it, try it and let me know, which he didn't. So that sounds like bad news. If the car gets sorted out sometime during the earlier part of today, then my weekend can carry on as normal, albeit starting a bit later. That's not a big deal. But, you know, if I haven't got a car this weekend again, then I can't go anywhere. So it'll be quite honestly, it'll be a tedious weekend, because, I mean, that'll be 6 weeks since I've seen my daughter. You know, 3 weekends on the trot, starting with the first one when she should have come down. It's getting a bit much. So we'll see how it goes. I'll keep you posted, but not having a car is becoming tedious, would be a polite way of putting it. It is actually getting on my wick now. It's starting to get at me, if you know what I mean. It affects my whole day, because whatever else I try and do, I'm thinking about the things I can't do. You know, because I haven't got my flipping vehicle. Anyway, just a quick update on the RO unit, and there isn't anything going on out here. When there is, I'll film it. Oh, I'll just show my tiny twinkle, because that's opening up quite well now. Don't know how much light there is. I'm holding the camera up near the roof above my head here on tiptoes. But yeah, it's opening up quite nicely. As far as fragrance is concerned, it isn't getting going yet, but then those blooms have only just opened. the same happened with the cinnamon twinkle. You know, when those blooms first opened, there was hardly any fragrance. Now there's a lot. Yeah. So, but you know, this is how they go. They don't last long. The first spike that opened is starting to go, and then this one opened next. Those two opened together, and I've still got two round the back that, you know, the buds are still forming. So it's going to be in bloom a long time, but the individual blooms don't last a huge amount of time. I'd say about 2 weeks. Yeah, 12 to 14 days, individual blooms. Obviously spikes last as long as the sequence that they opened in. You know, they tend to open near the base first and work up towards the tip. Although I must admit this spike seemed to just burst out all over all at once. But, anyway, while it's there, it's fragrant and it's good stuff. And this one here, looking at the length of the spikes, they're branching well now. This is going to be one of two plants, because I've lost the tag. It's either a miniature oncidium, like a dancing lady type, in which case that's going to be quite a good blooming, or it's the yellow twinkle. Now, those don't look like twinkle spikes to me. They look more like dancing lady spikes. But and it's quite a way off actually opening blooms, because the buds are only just forming on the branches. So that's a long time wait and see. See you next time. Thanks for dropping by. Oh, I just noticed that. Well, I didn't notice it as I walked out into the grow room. I noticed it as I walked back in. The Paphiopedilum mordiae has opened. As I said, that is a very simplistic Paphiopedilum bloom. It's only got 2 colours on it. And for me, its simplicity is its beauty. It is as simple as that. I mean, that's a more complex one. Oh, the light's awful in here. Come on, camera, do your thing. Yeah, I mean, that's a more complex, you know, there's quite a lot of coloration in there compared with the mordiae. But anyway, 2 Mr. Slows out at the same time. Can't be bad.